All right. So what I do to create this rose, I have a few specific ingredients. This is gum paste, which means that it is a combination of 50% fondant and 50% gum paste. And the question might be, well, what is fondant and what is gum paste? Basically, it's just sugar paste. And normally in class, we would make this bud from the fondant as well, but it would take it about a day or two to dry. So for this demo, I'm using a styrofoam. So I have my styrofoam bud, and what I'm going to do now is cut out a petal. So I'm rolling this out with what we call these pink rings, which makes the petal about 1/16 of an inch. And because these petals are very delicate, I'm going to roll it out and just roll it one more time. And this is what I call a flower cutter. And this particular one is a rose cutter. And I'm just going to cut out that bud and peel that away. Now the one thing about fondant is you have to always keep it under plastic, because if you don't, it will dry out. So probably one of the hardest lessons some of my students learn is that if they don't take proper care of their petals, they won't make beautiful flowers. Now once I have this petal, in order to make it start to look more realistic, I roll it with what we call a ball tool. I roll each of the individual petals, and basically what I'm doing is thinning the leaf. So this is one of those skills that a lot of students have a little trouble with. And that's one of the reasons. But I'm not going to worry about that because that's the inside petal. So normally you lift that, you bring it around. And because this petal is going right next to the bud, but normally it's just once turn around just like that to create that petal. Now once I do that, I take what I call my thick foam, which would be this. I take my ball tool and I just punch it in to create the indentations for the petal. I do all 5 leaves and then I do the center. Then I take my water brush and I just completely coat my base with water. And then I take the center of that petal, put the wire through. Now one thing I want you to notice about this, can you see the little man? Can you see the head, the 2 arms, and the 2 legs? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's one of the things I like my students to keep in mind. So I'm first going to take his head and roll it up around the petal. And I do that because this is the inside bud and this one has to be tight. I'm just going to put a little water on the outside. And then I'm going to roll up, put a little water here. I'm going to roll up one of his legs and wrap the leg around. I'm going to roll up the other leg and wrap that around. So what I'm making right now is a bud. And if I were making one of those creations where I only wanted rose buds, then I would probably stop right here. So I roll up the arm, and then I bring up the other arm. Then I just kind of press it together so that it can seal. And so already you can see we have a nice little rosebud right there. Mm-hmm. Okay? So now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take one of these petals. There's 3 petals to the rose. And now, so I'm going to roll out these individual petals. And this will start to form the rose as it's opening. So I thin the edges. Now, when you're doing this, you could either roll this so that the edges curl more. If they curl more, they tend to look a little more lifelike. And that's basically what we're going for. And we know that roses are delicate. All right, now this time when I put it on the foam, I'm going to cup the two arms. I'm going to flip it over and cut the two legs and the head. And then I'll flip it over and cut the center. Now, I'm going to take my water tube and I'm just going to put water on the base and halfway up the leaves. And one of the things we have to be careful about is wetting this too much, because it is, after all, sugar. And if we wet it too much, then it will just melt. So now I'm going to bring this up so that the petals don't overlap, that they actually alternate. And then I'm just going to put a little water halfway up each of those petals. And I'm going to start with the head. Then I'm going to bring up the leg, bring up the other leg, bring up the arm, and then I'll bring up the other arm. So you see our bud starting to kind of shape up very nicely. And the good thing is that at this stage, if you like, you can just kind of bring those back just a little. I'm going to take my thick foam. This time I'm going to cut them all in the same direction. Flip it over. And I'm going to support this a little bit more. I'm just going to take my water and you can use water, you can use decorating gel, you can use gum paste, which is just a combination of the gum paste, little balls of gum paste, and about 2 tablespoons of water, about a pea size of gum paste and a tablespoon of water. Alright, so we're going to once again make sure these petals alternate. So now I'm going to flip it over, just very carefully push those petals down. And very simply, we have this lovely rose. And when it dries, what we do is we take color dust and highlight it. And when you make a bunch of these, you have a very nice bouquet for someone really special. And that's our rose.